in terms of the Blue Jackets, they now have 9 days. Well, they're in the middle of a 9-day off break. Actually, they're a week and a day away from returning to action at home against Buffalo. Dave Metzel, our friend, Fox Sports Ohio, joins us. Boy, they had been playing so well, Dave, going into the last two games. Kind of a disappointing way to hit the All-Star break.
It was, but I'm going to continue with the theme here for a minute, Matt, because I'm sitting here in Minnesota in 1975 NFC Championship game. Drew Pearson clearly pushes off Nate Wright, catches the game-winning touchdown for the Dallas Cowboys. No call, should have been offensive pass interference. I'm still not over it.
Yep. Is that the one where somebody, a fan threw a bottle onto the field? I'm trying to remember.
Threw a bottle? Yeah, threw a bottle on the field and hit the referee in the head.
Yes, I do remember that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I was at that game with my best buddy, Pat McAllister.
Did you throw the bottle?
I did not throw the bottle. Okay. I did not have those kind of seats at that time.
Yeah, it's a rough one. But for the Jackets, what's the mood going into the All-Star break after, again, letting those last two get away?
Well, I think John Tortorella's post-game scrum summed it all up. He's mad. He's angry. He's frustrated with the way those guys attacked those last two games. He felt like there were way too many passengers in that game against Montreal on Friday night, and that was not enough guys pulling on the rope. And where his best line may have been the Lucas Sedlak, Riley Nash, Oliver Bjorkstrand line, and we don't say that very often. And then the next night, my God, there were numerous opportunities. A great job entering the zone by a number of players, especially Anthony Duclair, who's been in and out of the doghouse, but they can't hit the net to save their lives. I mean, they were missing the net. They were hitting the glass. They were hitting the boards. They were having the puck roll off their stick, and that's really frustrating. And then the line that had been so good, at least in the coach's eyes the night before, got about 6 minutes of ice time, so they obviously fell out of the coach's good graces in a hurry. It was just a frustrating way to limp into the break. And now you see these guys, they're all posting pictures on Instagram, enjoying their life in South Beach at the moment. Those two things don't mix very well. Fans don't like that kind of stuff. Yeah, go have your vacation, but at least put the effort in before you go on your break.
Right. And unfortunately, it feels that way to a lot of fans that, losing both of them is a killer. If they could have gotten one, I mean, you're going to lose games, but to get 0 points out of those last two were very frustrating. Visiting with Dave Metzel, Fox Sports Ohio. So what do you make of the news today? The Blue Jackets adding a Hall of Famer to their coaching staff.
Fantastic.
Martin St. Louis.
Marty St. Louis.
Yes.
Yeah, Marty St. Louis won a cup with Tortorella in Tampa Bay. He's a Hall of Famer. And if you know anything about their relationship, they were at each other nonstop. Torts talks about it all the time. St. Louis drove him crazy, and Tortorella drove St. Louis crazy. But what Marty St. Louis will tell you is that John Tortorella made him a better player. And frankly, the Tampa Bay Lightning don't win the cup that year, 2004, without Marty St. Louis doing what he did. He's a goal scorer. He's the kind of guy who's not going to let the status quo go for very long. He's going to get in there and try and solve it. And in addition to his relationship with John Tortorella, he's very good friends with Cam Atkinson. And obviously the success of Cam Atkinson plays a big role in whether or not the power play is going to be successful. So he'll get under Cam Atkinson's skin, I'm sure, a little bit and try to make him a better player. He'll get under some of the other players' skin a little bit because that's the nature of his personality. And if he and Torts clash a little bit over the way the power play is operated, well, you know what? Maybe that's okay. Mm-hmm. That's all right to get that kind of fire lit under these guys. So I love the hire. It's a no-brainer. He won't be there all the time. He's going to be a consultant because he's got some kids who play hockey as well out on the East Coast. But, man, I think it's a no-brainer, and I really hope that it brings good things to that power play unit.
You mentioned his relationship with Cam Atkinson. Is it also, I mean, Stan and I were just talking about it off the air, have somebody, A, with the pedigree that Marty St. Louis does, but B, that is still relatively young. I mean, these guys still identify with him, played against him just a few years ago. Does that connection, does that relate to these guys a little bit?
No doubt about it. I mean, Stan, you know what it's like when a guy who's lived it comes in and teaches you a little bit on how to play the game, maybe offers a suggestion or two. And a guy who's won the cup, for God's sakes, that really gives him a lot of credence with these players. A guy who's found a way, small guy like Cam. He's not a Pierre-Luc Dubois type or a Josh Anderson. He's a small guy who had to find his way in a really tough National Hockey League at that time. I mean, the league has gotten a little bit softer. I think everybody will agree on that. And St. Louis had to find ways to score goals against some goons who wanted to come in and take his head off. So, yeah, I think he's going to help those guys in a lot of different ways based on what he's been through as a player.
The elephant in the room as we hit the All-Star break is what's going to happen over the next month in terms of Sergei Bobrovsky and Artemi Panarin. And, Dave, none of us know what's going to happen. But is that looming question as the deadline gets closer? We're a month away. Does it, I don't know, does it get louder inside the locker room? Like as each day in the calendar ticks off and guys like us and other places talk about what are they going to do the guys in the locker room, are they able to block that out sufficiently and just play? Or is it a conversation that you hope doesn't but could affect this team?
Yeah, you hope it doesn't, but I think it will affect this team. When they get back, they'll be inside a month until the trade deadline. And a lot of people are looking at Bob right now as the most likely guy. I think if you read all of the TSN reports, all of the reports out of Canada, The Athletic, all of the guys who follow it really closely and have the true inside sources will tell you that Bob is the most likely of the two to move first. I think there are indicators such as Jonas Korpisalo getting that start against Montreal when maybe Bob could have been the starter on Friday night. Now, obviously, Bob got the net on Saturday and played very well, especially in the last two periods. But those, to me, are indicators that Sergei Bobrovsky doesn't have the rock solid lock on that starter's position that he had for the last several years, right? And they've got to look at the possibility, the very real possibility, that Jonas Korpisalo is going to be the guy they're going to have to ride into the postseason. So that's why you're seeing him get opportunities against really good teams like Montreal. Nobody knows. Nobody knows for sure. All through the season, I've been in the school of thought that says Bob is going to be the guy who carries them as far as they can carry him. But the events that have happened since that Tampa game just seem to indicate that something else might happen. Now, the other thing on the Panarin front is this is supposed to be the week when Jarmo Kekalainen meets with Artemi Panarin's people. They kind of singled this bye week out as a week when they were going to get together and at least have discussions. Discussions on what? Well, we certainly hope it leads to a contract extension, but there's no guarantee there either. And the clock keeps ticking to February 25th. And what are they going to do? It should be really interesting when they come back on that Tuesday after the break. It should be really interesting to see what has developed, if anything, or how much further any of those situations are down the road.
Is there confidence in the organization? Is there confidence within this team that if they move Bob, that Jonas Korpisalo can carry them on a day-to-day basis?
I believe there's growing confidence. I really do. I think the way he went out and performed against Nashville, the way he went out and performed against Washington shows that it's in there. And the intangible is, what if it actually happens? If Bob gets moved and all of a sudden it's, hey, Jonas, come on in here. You're our guy. How does that change him? Does that make him better? Does that make him a little more nervous? Is he tight all of a sudden? Or does he have the confidence of, I'm the number one guy on a National Hockey League team. This is what I've been playing hockey for my whole life, and it makes him better. That's the intangible we won't know. He seems to be of a mindset when he plays, calm, cool. Nothing really seems to rattle him too much. That you would like to believe he's going to go the positive direction, and it's going to be a real boon to his career. But we just don't know. That's why it's going to be so much fun to follow this team over the remaining 30-odd games for sure.
If they move him, Bob, do they have to bring in, do they have to find some kind of a veteran as a backup just in case things don't go south? Where do they go with the number two goalie if they indeed decide to move Bob?
Yeah, they've got Jean-Francois Berube, who has NHL experience. They've got him sitting in Cleveland, but I don't know that he's the guy that you want to get. So you look for a rental goalie, perhaps, who can get you through that period as the backup, or maybe spell Jonas Korpisalo if things go south. What you want to get in return, if you move Bob, is not just prospects, not just picks, but some veteran leadership, either in goal or at center ice, which is obviously a glaring position right now. Somebody who can win faceoffs for you on a regular basis, somebody who can score I know the Athletic had reported last week that Derek Brassard, the former number 1 pick of the draft of the Blue Jackets, was available, and there might be conversations between the Penguins and Blue Jackets to bring Brassard back to Columbus. Those are all things that are swirling around right now and things we need to be paying attention to, because this week, although the players are off, Jarmo is not. Jarmo's working hard this week.
The billboard. I thought it was really cool that Artemi took his picture with the billboard that's offering him free vodka if he sticks around. And Stan's laughing at me already. I thought, hey, that's an encouraging sign that he actually went out and took a picture at the billboard. Am I grasping at straws, looking for anything to make me feel positive?
I think it's an encouraging sign.
See?
I think the way his agent, Dan Milstein, has reacted to it is an encouraging sign. I don't know if you saw the picture that was on Instagram of a little boy here in Minnesota who was holding up a sign that said, Breadman, #1 fan, and Panarin's agent messaged back to this kid, come to Columbus and we'll take you to lunch at High Banks Distillery. I thought it was great.
That's good.
You got to take all the positive signs you can take, right? I mean,
Yes.
They don't seem to have slammed the door in the Blue Jackets' face. I think they're right now playing along for sure, and maybe more than that.
You guys got to plant your feet in reality. It's cool because it's a billboard.
Offering him free vodka?
Offering you free vodka to stay. Has nothing to do with whether he's going to stay or not. Trust me,
Right.
he can buy his
How
own
about
vodka. With his next contract, he can buy all the vodka he wants.
How about the one from the dentist, Dan? A dentist put one up, too, saying free dental services for life if you stay. You know, that might coax him, huh?
Exactly. With the amount of teeth that hockey players lose.
You guys do realize how much money he's about to get, right? So
I'm looking for any sign that he loves Columbus or is falling in love with Columbus.
This is the one that can sway him. I'm going to help you two guys so you can get it done. Go down there to NetJets. And if he can get a lifetime NetJets to fly anywhere, I guarantee you he'd stay in Columbus.
Okay.
You know, that's a really
look for that billboard.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
Because I know he went straight from St. Paul straight to South Beach, which if you follow him again on social media, he's got pictures already on South Beach. And I know he didn't take the team plane there. I know he went straight from Minneapolis.
Yeah.
So
Stan,
that's a pretty good idea.
You're an idea man.
I'm telling you, I know what works for these kind of guys.
Right. Hey, Dave, enjoy the All-Star break. Appreciate it, and thanks for taking a few minutes for us.
Always, guys. Always.